Hello, in this video I will show you how to set up your warehouses in SalesRay. Warehouses are places where you store your goods, whether they are items, bill of materials, finished products, or production materials. Depending on your company, warehouses may be equal to the number of points of sale, but you can also have one central warehouse, for example, where you keep all of your stock. Like many other objects in the system, warehouses can have a tree structure, meaning that you can create sub-warehouses for each one if you need to do so. Sub-warehouses are used to divide stocks according to their functionality. For example, you can have a sub-warehouse for free samples. In addition to sub-warehouses, you can divide your warehouses into a territorial format, namely sector, rows, and floors. Let's go back to the interface. Here you will find two warehouses introduced by us. You can edit or delete them, however you will need at least one warehouse in the system. Depending on what you create, you will need to grant rights and permissions to your users. The right to view indicates whether a user will see stocks and availabilities and whether that warehouse will appear in all modules. The right to move means that the user will be able to move stock from and to that warehouse. The last right, to be responsible for the warehouse, means that the user can store in and store out, can do inventory, revaluation, or quantitative adjustments. If you select a user to be responsible in the warehouse, they will automatically get the two other rights. Changes are saved from the confirmation button. With the second button, you can set up the numbering of the warehouse documents. Here, with the edit buttons, you can specify the numbering of each document, or you can open an interface where you can see all of them and change them all here. Changes are saved with the confirmation button. With the third button, this plus, you can add one or more sub-warehouses. The interface that opens for you to register that sub-warehouse is the same as that of a regular warehouse, except for this check which indicates that this is a sub-warehouse of the main warehouse of your choice. I will give you more details about what needs to be filled in here in a few moments. The next button is for editing, and it is used if you need to do some changes to the already created object. The next button is to stop or reactivate the warehouse. In order to stop one, there has to be no stock in, otherwise the system will not allow you to archive it. The same with the last button, which is meant to delete it. You can only delete a warehouse if it has no stock in or no operations have been created. Above the list there are two checkboxes, address and sectors, which add columns with additional information about your warehouses. In the header, you have a button to add a new warehouse or sub-warehouse. This will open up the interface where you need to fill in the following data for your object: the company you work with, the address of that warehouse from the addresses already entered in the company. Setting the fields for the 3PL system and the integration system ID are only completed if you are working with integrations with this type of logistics operator. Then follows the name of the warehouse or sub-warehouse. You can enter this only in the default language of your domain. If you are creating a sub-warehouse, you must also specify the parent warehouse. You can also select a warehouse from the ones that you already have as a replenishment warehouse if you want to move stock from a large central storage, for example, to a smaller one. Below there are some more checkboxes. With the first check, you can mark this warehouse or sub-warehouse as a sales warehouse. This means that this warehouse will appear when you create a sales order to show you the available stock of a certain item, even if the warehouse is not the warehouse connected to the point of sale from which you make the sale, but another warehouse in another location which has that item. The main idea of this setup is to be able to track all the stock in the company's sales warehouses and possibly inform your customer in which other warehouse they might find that item. For example, if you set up a materials warehouse for production, you don't need to check this box because you don't sell materials and you don't need to see the availability of unprocessed materials when you make a sale. The second box is to allow negative quantities, which basically allows the warehouse to work on minus even when you don't have the required amount for a sale. In most cases, however, it is not recommended to work in this way. The third box is for companies that work with lots as a tracking method for their stock. Below, if you wish, you can divide your warehouse or sub-warehouse into sectors, rows and floors to reflect reality. When you have finished entering the data, create the warehouse with the confirmation button. Now, in order to work with it, you need to give your users rights to it, meaning who will be able to see it, move stock, or be the responsible for that warehouse. It is important to note that if a parent warehouse is divided into sectors, rows and floors, you can only create simple sub-warehouses to it that do not have a territorial division. However, if a parent warehouse is not divided into sectors, rows and floors, then you can create a sub-warehouse with a territorial division connected to it. Also, as you can see, sub-warehouses inherit all the rights of the parent they belong to, and you can only edit or delete them. This was the information about warehouses. Thank you for watching. Have a productive day.